Let's grab some bikes. We've got an absolute ton of bikes. As many as will fit, yeah. Got so many bikes, yeah.
Is there space for one more?
No, it's absolutely full. We'll send this one next month.
My name's Jess, I'm 33. I work at Cooper's Bakehouse, which is a small artisan bakery in southeast London. We make everything by hand, on site, and we only deliver to places that we can reach by bicycle. The thing I know most about myself is that I love cycling and everything to do with cycling and bikes. So over the last couple of years, I've been making sure that all the things I do include cycling in some way, which led me to, I saw an advert for a baker cyclist, and I was like, that sounds amazing. There is nothing better than the smell of bread and doing something with your hands. So making something and being able to produce something that you can kind of point to and say, oh, look, I did that.
For me, the bicycle had become so much a part of my mental health and how I approached my day. I knew that, all right, whatever's going to happen today, at least I get my ride into work. And suddenly, I couldn't do that. And that was so tough.
Personally, I'm in love with the bike. I fell in love with the bike 6 or 7 years ago. I'm new to cycling and I've never looked back. I did a long ride and that was it. It was love. The bike is the best way to get around by far. It's the quickest, it's the cheapest, it's the greenest. It's been proven psychologically, health-wise, cycling is a fantastic way to get around. Gets you from A to B, gets you door to door. And it hasn't changed for about 250 years. It hasn't really evolved since it was first designed, and it's still our kind of our means to get around. Blaze's mission is simple. It's been the same since absolutely day one. We want to build a better world by getting more people in cities on bikes. This is our office. I'll introduce you to some of the team. So this is Phil, who is my co-founder and COO. Also my best mate, and basically runs the show here.
Stop it.
This is Will, who was employee number 1. So Will's been around since the very, very beginning. And we've got Kirsty, who actually used to kind of run the show at our biggest customer and now is helping us run the show here. Rach, also from really early on, basically looks after all of our customers and our community and our partners. I think you sometimes know them all by name, pretty much every single one of them. And then we've got Jamie, who's actually our newest team member, but I think it feels like you've been around forever.
Yeah, it does. Feels like I've just become part of the furniture.
And then we've got Dan, who's pretty critical, but what do you do, Dan?
I'm the design director here. I work with the team to take the problems we find and help generate the solutions that become our products.
So basically the brains behind all the products. And then Marcus, who supports Dan, and I'm going to say on the record now, is going to be the next Johnny Ive.
If you say so.
And with Marcus, actually, we've got Reggie, who is our newest team member, who's been hanging out for a week. My hiring criteria so far has been basically you have to be incredibly bright and ideally ride a bike. A Blaze employee is posactive, is a word that we made up, which is basically positive and proactive.
I'm looking at some incoming samples we've had from our factories to make sure they meet our quality standards and requirements and make sure they will be fit for purpose on the bikes.
This is the Blaze Lab, so depending on the stage of the project, you'll have a lot of people working down here. You just want to put the static on and connect the laser up to the device. Dynamo will start spinning. After a few seconds, the laser should come on. There we go. If you just shine it on the wall, we can have a look at the projection. If I switch this off, let's see, it should start flashing like your traffic light. Okay, perfect. Drop in the laser light so that it's shining into the integrating sphere, and you can see over here the figures changing as it measures the light output. Once the test is set up, just shut the lid and leave it for several hours.
Keeping my mental health on a good level had become so associated with being on the bike, just pedaling on and it's going to be okay. To then having to swap from this feeling of just so trapped in my own body by not having, being able to move and having to rely on public transport again. I just had this kind of extra energy that I didn't really know what to do with. It was just, I just remember this whole time just feeling like I had really lost something. And I was worried about whether I would get it back and whether I would want to get back on my bike.
I was cycling across Waterloo Bridge about 9 o'clock in the evening, so I was coming over down into South London, and you enter the roundabout and you come round this corner, and you're supposed to join the cycle lane here. So I was coming round, I could see a car coming up here, but I was, they'll see me, it's fine. So I carried on just coming round, and as I was coming round, I saw the car getting closer and I was like, it'll stop. And then it was just there, just literally at that spot. That's when I was hit.
Our flagship product is the laser light, which tackles the most common cause of fatality, which is the blind spot. The laser light is a front light that you have to have, but it also has a laser, and it projects the symbol of a bike about 20 feet on the ground in front of you. So the driver ahead can see that you're coming and doesn't turn across your path.
It's a high-quality front LED and laser projection bike light. So the LED is much like a traditional high-powered, good quality front white bike light. Beyond that, the laser is a green laser projection which fires an image of a bike onto the road ahead of you about 6 metres.
Laser was key because a laser is very good for projection. It's so bright because all of that energy is focused into a dot. We spread that dot and create it into an image, but that's why a laser is so good at projecting.
The laser itself we use is a direct diode, which is a very specific type of laser. We take that laser, shine it through a custom DOE, which effectively diffracts that laser light into our bespoke bike shape and projects that out onto the floor ahead.
I normally go home when I'm exhausted and just want to go and switch off and relax.
Oh, darling! Lovely to see you. Oh, you had a good journey, haven't you? Oh, come on in. Oh, lovely to see you. So she is somebody who will never be put off track. Once she's made up her mind, this is what she wants to do, then she does it. There was never a problem that Emily couldn't solve. If she was, she would make things for her doll's house, and if she couldn't find what she wanted in the doll's house, she would make it.
Different pedals are different cleats, so I had different cleats than the ones in London.
Oh, wow, that's clever. I like the way you keep your lipstick in there. I'm going to take those scissors and my doobie What's-It.
So my family live in Bath. I was born in Bath, Mum was born in Bath. It's a lovely place to go. Bath's beautiful. My family are amazing. I'm incredibly lucky. I remember lots of holidays when we were little, when we used to go to the countryside in England. So we used to go to the beach down in Cornwall and spend hours on the beach building sandcastles. My little sister knocking them down.
It is, isn't it?
Going to London.
And that is, look.
Oh my God.
Look at Becky with that silly hat on.
That was the attic before the attic was a bedroom. Sweet, that's a lovely picture. That's definitely my first bike.
She was looking for a project to do at Brighton University. And while she was there, she heard of a tragic accident. Somebody was killed on a bicycle, and she was very moved by that and very saddened.
So I got home, by the time I got home it was quite late, and I remember going online and seeing the news and seeing that a man called Dan Harris had just been killed by a vehicle turning across him that day. And it was like a literal slap in the face.
I'm Scott. Dan Harris was my brother. He passed away in an accident involving a vehicle on his bike. From what I can understand, there was traffic lights and the vehicle was in the left-hand lane. As the vehicle was turning left, he must have been in the driver's blind spot, I would imagine, and the driver not see him. That's the only reason I can see for the accident occurring. And it is an accident when that happens. It's nobody's fault.
I was biking around Brighton, thinking about this problem. I had the problem really clear in my mind that this is what I wanted to tackle. And cycling towards the seafront, and a white van just in front of me, about 5 yards in front of me, I suddenly thought, if he just decided from nowhere to turn left, if he just suddenly swung out, I'd be in trouble. You know, I wish there was a virtual me travelling in front of me to warn him I was coming.
And she came to me and said, Mummy, you know, I want to try and stop this horrible thing happening. And I said, well, how are you going to do it? And she had some ideas of what she wanted to do, but not at that stage, the laser light. That came probably 6 months later. And the rest is history.
Really clearly remember the moment of thinking, that's a daft idea, but that would work. That would help. That would help him see me.
The main cause of accidents between cyclists and other vehicles is collision at junctions. About 75% of all cycle accidents happen at junctions, and in most cases it's a situation where the car or other vehicle has pulled out from the junction into the path of the cyclist who theoretically has right of way, and a collision ensues. It's called a looked but failed to see accident. The driver claims that they looked, but they didn't actually consciously perceive what it was they were looking at, i.e. the cyclist.
The research that we do is looking at how we can produce engines for cars and trucks that are very efficient, they use less fuel, and also are clean, so don't produce harmful emissions. I think in the future we'll see a much more mixed mode of transportation, using cars. You know, we might not own the car. We might be hiring the car through an app on your phone, so the car turns up when you need it, using bicycles, public transport, and maybe walking a lot more as we bring the services closer to people's homes rather than having to travel to them. I love bikes. Bikes are great for, it's a clean form of transport. You don't produce any emissions. It keeps you fit. They don't take as much space on the road, so when I can use my bike, I certainly like to use it.
One of the most important people throughout the entire process, and from Brighton University, is Richard Morris.
How's that looking? Perfect. My name's Richard Morris, and I'm a lecturer here at the University of Brighton. We get real-world problems, so we'll have industry and businesses coming to us and giving us challenges. Emily's a great inspiration for students. She has produced a great product, she's built a great business, so she is a great ambassador for what can be done, and of course she's a female as well, so desperately need more women in engineering, so she's a great ambassador for her gender too.
The university was really, really kind. They suggested I applied to a Santander program which sponsored me to go to Massachusetts and learn about entrepreneurship. It's crazy. It's my university project that's slightly spun out of control. And there's an amazing kind of tipping point back in November last year where we were delivering the lasers to the Santander cycles in London. And we're delivering about 1,000 a week for them to be fitted into the bikes.
The reason I was so shocked at the light coming towards me was that feeling of like, I didn't know why I wasn't visible, and sort of, understanding that so one slight overlook by a driver and I was so vulnerable on the road, and even though I was using the path that I was supposed to and I, was doing everything I could, that the driver just had no chance, to see me and to slow down. Hey, how you doing?
Welcome.
Another bike for a bike project.
Nice. Oh, cool.
Big one.
Oh, hi, Jess. Hey, I'll take this.
Thanks.
So how are you doing? You had a crash.
Yeah, got knocked off at Waterloo, broke my wrist, had various bruises, but those have all gone. The wrist took quite a while to heal. I've been through physio now, and they've said I've got the all clear, so like physically I'm there, mentally still sort of starting to, it's just getting back, and I've got a new shiny bike, so...
For your new shiny bike, I want to give you a present. I think you deserve a laser light.
Wow, thank you so much. That's amazing.
Hopefully it'll help you keep visible.
Ah! Oh my gosh. Light, then laser! Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Cool.
The picture of the bike in front kind of like announces my presence to people. It gives me confidence on the road. It's really helped me feel good about riding and, dealing with London traffic, which can sometimes be challenging. Morning.
Morning.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's all right.
How are you doing?
Feet.
Always.
Cheers.
Lovely.
There you go.
Thank you.
And last two.
Perfect.
Cool. All right, thanks, guys.
Hey.
We contribute to the Bike Project, which is a fantastic initiative that collects second-hand bikes, people's bikes they don't want. They refurbish them and they send them to refugees and asylum seekers.
A bike saves a refugee around £20 a week in transport costs. So that's about £1,000 a year. So across all the refugees we've given bikes to, well, we've saved refugees every year almost £3 million in public transport costs.
It was really awesome to come to the bike project today. It was fantastic to see finally where the bikes go. It was amazing to meet the people. It was amazing to meet some incredibly generous people with their time and their energy to make this happen, and some really awesome, grateful people who came and got some bikes.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, that definitely pushes back.
54.
Now your signature.
What colour do you want, you sir?
Blue,
Yeah, blue one.
No, yeah, give me that one, yeah. That one.
Let's just give you a new helmet. Sorry. Yeah? You want a black helmet?
I'm nearly like the king of Hamrun now.
Nearly?
Yeah, nearly the king of Hamrun.
What else do we need to do
when
to
I
make
arrive,
the king?
I'm going to be a king. Eh?
When you arrive.
I can go to Tottenham now.
King of Tottenham?
Yeah, I'm going to Tottenham now. Before, this is not my first bike. I have a bike before, but this bike is perfect. Yeah, because I have 11 gears. 11 gears, you know.